All right. This is part 2. I am Abe Zucca. This is the Temple of Zucca. We are continuing the readings of the Pneuma of Charlie Kirk. This is an 8-part series. It comes after Fractal Islam and the Unborn Levels of Scientology and Stalin's Closed System of Colossus. These are all writings by me, Abe Zucca. I'm an artist in downtown Phoenix. You can check out my art at zuccagallery.com. You can also just Google the name Abe Zucca and see what comes up as far as social media. My gallery is downtown at 1301 Grand Avenue. You know, you can come down there and check it out if you want. Anyways, let's begin the readings of the Pneuma of Charlie Kirk, Miasma, Warfare, and the Sovereignty of Breath. If you guys have any questions, just write them in the comment section. Subscribe, like. This is going to be an 8-part series. The inner atmosphere, the breath realm, the pulmonauts, and the lost art of air. On free divers, Victorian sweat visions, nasal ruins, disevolution, and the cosmic politics of respiration. There are many ways to breathe as there are foods to eat. Therefore, the scholar who nourishes his life refines the form and nurses his breath. Breathing is not binary. If you guys have any questions, leave comments in the comment section. I am Abe Zucca. I'm an artist and writer in downtown Phoenix. This is a book called Pneuma of Charlie Kirk, written and read by me. Let's continue. The unexpected passage, the sweat vision, the sudden shift. Every true breathing initiation begins in disappointment. The dusty Victorian floor, the bad cassette tape guru, the drafty window, because breath must first reveal our numbness before it reveals its power. The calm never arrives when summoned. It arrives when the practitioner stops demanding transformation, instead vacates the internal room in which anxiety has pitched its tent. The sweat deluge that erupts in a cold room is the body's secret testimony. Inhalation does not merely introduce oxygen, it initiates a subtle thermodynamic rearrangement, rearranging heat appearing where no intention summoned it. A single breath repeated with sincerity across time becomes an alchemical kiln. The crucible is the diaphragm, the fuel is attention, and the ash is stale thought. A single breath repeated with sincerity across time becomes an alchemical kiln. The crucible is the diaphragm, the fuel is attention, the ash is stale thought. The body knows before the mind permits itself to understand. Every profound shift in breath unveils an inner ritual, enacted silently beneath layers of cultural habit. The deep dive, free divers, superhuman breath states, underwater mysticism. The free diver demonstrates the ancient truth. Breath is a bridge between mammalian fragility and oceanic memory. To hold breath is to re-enter the ancestral sea. When lungs expand beyond their normal geometry, the body remembers a prehistoric curriculum. Techniques encoded in the primordial slime long before human upright stance. Superhuman feats do not require superhuman bodies, they require superhuman intimacy with breath. Mastery is always rediscovery. The diver's descent is a vertical meditation where gravity, pressure, and silence become instructors. Each depth reaches is an inner depth mirrored. Free diving shows that breath is not a gas exchange mechanism, but a sovereign force that recognizes the nervous system, suspends the tyranny of panic, and grants access to amphibious consciousness. The primordial library, ancient Taoists, Hindus, Buddhists, and the lost science of Charlie Kirk. Cultures separated by millennia arrived at the same proclamation. Breath is medicine, discipline, and metaphysics in one. The Taoist, the yogi, the monk each articulate a different accent of the same cosmic grammar. Ancient manuscripts read like protocol for subtle body engineering. Regulate the breath, slow it, invert it, swallow it, spiral it through the organs. These are not metaphors, they are technologies. Breath practice traditions are not archaic curiosities, but laboratories that predate modern science by thousands of years. Their experiments were conducted as consciousness rather than molecules. Every tradition that equates breath with spirit, pneuma, prana, chi, erupts intuits a metaphysical constant. Air is the medium in which body and soul co-inhabit. If you guys didn't know, Charlie Kirk was really into the hyperbaric chambers right down the street in North Phoenix. He used to frequent the spot. I am Abe Zucca. This is the Pneuma of Charlie Kirk, Miasma, Warfare, and the Sovereignty of Breath. Written by me, read by me. Check out my art at zuccagallery.com. Disevolution, crooked faces, shrinking skulls, the nose in ruin. Human evolution has recently reversed. What's up? Ivan Wang. What's up, man? No longer optimizing for survival, it now accumulates traits harmful to breath, posture, immunity, and sleep. Crooked teeth are not genetic fate, but architectural collapse. The human skull is shrinking not through natural selection, but through cultural softness, diets that require neither jaw nor presence. Every microwave taquito and jarred vegetable is a quiet chiseling away of the airway. The modern mouth is a ruin carved by convenience. Our ancestors possessed perfect dental arches and forward jaws because they chewed the world as it was, tough, fibrous, resistant. We chew versions of the world pre-digested. Disevolution names the paradox of progress. The more our brains expanded with fire-cooked calories, the more our airways constricted, making us the only mammals that can choke on sleep. The mouth, obstruction, apnea, panic, a lost pathway. A mouth that constantly breathes becomes an instrument of disorder. It signals exhaustion, inflammation, and the collapse of the nasal cathedral. Forced mouth breathing accelerates entropy, sleep, apnea, snoring, bacterial blooms, cascading hormonal disruption. A single day of obstruction multiplies the body's suffering exponentially. To breathe only through the mouth is to abandon the evolutionary architecture designed for air. It is to retreat from the subtle intelligence of the nose, its heating coils, its microbial gardens, its rhythmic gates of flow. Nasal obstruction is not a mere inconvenience, it is the quiet dismantling of the automatic order. An internal coup, the airway rebels against its own design. Snoring is not a joke, but an acoustic confession. The body is suffocating itself while asleep, replaying millions of years of evolutionary regression each night. The nose, the lost cathedral, Nayak's insight, the hidden organ of order. The nose is the forgotten temple of the body. Its chambers, dunes, marshes, stalactites compose a sacred geometry for filtering, sensing, and sanctifying air. Modern medicine's neglect of the nose is a civilizational oversight. Like forgetting the first chapter of a book and wondering why the plot makes no sense. To block the nose is to sever the ancestral thread linking us to every mammal who lived and breathed before us. Nasal breathing is a subtle form of intelligence. It trains the diaphragm, shapes facial bones, modulates nitric oxide, calibrates immune responses, and choreographs the nervous system. Every breath through the nose is a micro ritual of alignment. Every breath through the mouth is a small defection from embodied wisdom. The new pulmonauts, the rogue lineage, the underground science. The new pulmonauts inherit a lineage of unlikely saints, hairdressers, Civil War surgeons, Ukrainian cardiologists, anarchist opera singers, choral conductors. Breathing has always attracted the eccentric and the exiled. Their experiments, obscure and forgotten, are re-emerged not as curious but as frontier science, recasting the breath as a missing pillar of health. Pulmonauts are united by one trait. When standard medicine failed them, they turned inward, discovering that the laboratory of the diaphragm yields its own empiricism. Their work reveals the paradox of breath, simplicity on the surface, immeasurable complexity within. A single inhalation is a symphony of molecules building bone, brain, and blood. The future of medicine lies in the reconciliation of ancient breath arts and modern physiology, not opposition but superimposition. The long human breath, evolution, fire, speech, collapse. Our lineage is a breathing lineage. From sludge gulping CO2 to mammals refining oxygen, even evolutionary leap is a respiratory revision. Fire liberates calories, expanding the brain but restricting the face. Speech deepens consciousness by narrowing the throat. Every gain in meaning exacted a tax on breathing. The descent of the larynx granted us language at the price of chronic vulnerability, choking, snoring, apnea, side effects of becoming fully human. Breathing difficulties are not aberrations but evolutionary depths. Our skulls pay interest on ancient adaptations. To breathe consciously is to renegotiate evolution itself, to reclaim a capacity that natural history compromised in favor of intellect. The inner aerosphere, the nervous system, immunity, longevity. To change breath is to hack the autonomic system. Breathing patterns reshape the natural tides that govern fear, inflammation, and vitality. There exists no pill that can activate the immune system with the speed of a single well-modulated breath ritual. Breath is the original pharmacology. Restorative breathing is democratic. It requires no health, only attention. It is the most ancient equalizer. To breathe consciously is to participate in one's own future. Breath is not maintenance, it is prophecy. Longevity begins in the invisible rhythms we repeat every 3.3 seconds. Breath composes the body as music composes silence. The cosmic respiratory field, the self, the world, the last breath. Every breath is a negotiation with the universe. We take in what was once rock, tree, bird, fire, star. We give back what will nourish oceans of microorganisms. Breathing is the most intimate form of participation in the world. It makes the boundary between self and cosmos porous. To breathe well is to inhabit time fully. To breathe poorly is to surrender agency even while awake. The final breath is not an ending, but the closing of rhythm repeated 670 million times. A life is nothing but a long inhalation followed by a long exhalation. Whoever masters breath becomes a citizen of the wider atmosphere, no longer confined to the biological prison, but attuned to the cosmic respiration that surrounds and sustains all beings. Age of breath. Air is the first nourishment, the last relation. Modernity begins when the atmosphere itself becomes a battlefield. Breathlessness is not like running for a bus, it is like dying. The breath epoch, air as world age, spirit sphere. We enter the age of breath when the unnoticed medium, air, atmosphere, respiration, ceases to be mere background and becomes the site of metaphysics, the substance of politics, the grammar of embodiment. As Joachim de Fiore once divided sacred history into the age of Father, the Son, and the Spirit, so Igare redivided modernity into epoch where air replaces earth as the primal element, where being becomes a fluid inhalation rather than a grounded stance. In this epoch, the human form is no longer the thinking subject of philosophy, but the respiratory creature, whose first philosophy is the rise and fall of the diaphragm. Breath inaugurates a feminine metaphysics, not a gender essentialism, but a shift from solidity to permeability, from identity as object to identity as weather. The age of breath is the spherological age. The world is understood not through nations, bodies, identities, or networks, but through shared atmospheres, interior microclimates, and fragile membranes that separate inhalation from annihilation. Sloterdijk's epoch of explication reveals the first war of the 20th century was not trench versus trench, but species versus air, poison gas as the inaugural act of atmospheric violence. Breath becomes the boundary between life and terror, between prayer and suffocation, between the birth cry and the death rattle, between the theater of cruelty and the theater of the lungs. The age of breath is the epoch in which every metaphysics collapses into meteorology, where philosophy becomes pneumatology, and ontology becomes a study of the pressure zones inside and around the human animal. Thus, the primordial axiom of the epoch, to be is to breathe is to belong to a sphere, and to belong is to be vulnerable to its rupture. Check out that movie Begonia. This is really kind of reflecting that movie. The respiratory self, anxiety, object A, theater, embodied thought. Breath is the first trauma. The newborn's lung, startling, open the world, rushing in, anxiety wedded to inspiration. Lacan's object A, the trigger of anxiety glimpsed from ungraspable, can be reconceived as the shadow of breath, the hidden interval between inhale and exhale where the unknown enters the body. The anxious self is the self who cannot locate its breath, whose atmospheric coherence has been breached by a formless threat. Artaud teaches that thought is not cerebral but respiratory, that the theater is not the representation but a wind tunnel, where breath becomes choreography and myth becomes a pressure wave. In the theater of cruelty, breath becomes hieroglyph, a heaving ribcage, a collective gasp, a synchronized exhale that ungrounds identity. Fraudenberg shows the academic mind is an organism of breath. Its thinking is the slow circulation of air through concepts, the body thinking in pressure differentials. The arts remain the primary respiratory technologies of the species. Poetry as breath meter, dance as diaphragm ritual, song as exhale inscription, philosophy as controlled breathing under a sign of clarity. The respiratory self is the truly embodied self. The consciousness that knows its knowledge is contingent on a small aperture in the throat and the fragile musculature of the lungs. Thus, the axiom, the self is not a substance but a rhythm, not an identity but a breathing pattern, not a mind but a tension between inspiration and expiration. Atmospheric politics, Pentecost, protest, oppression, world systems. Every political order is first an order of air. Who breathes freely? Who breathes with difficulty? Who breathes cleanly? Who breathes pollutants? Who cannot breathe at all? Pentecostalism reveals a theology of co-breathing where the spirit enters through communal rhythms of breath, shouting, singing, trembling, speaking in tongues, air as collective revelation. The modern world reveals an inverse pneumatology, the breath stolen by oppression, the lungs constricted by systemic violence, the cry of "I can't breathe" as both literal suffocation and metaphysical testimony. The slogan of Black Lives Matter, "I can't breathe," is the central axiom of atmospheric politics, an indictment of the state as asphyxiating apparatus, a demand for an atmosphere where existence is not policed at the level of respiration. The universal chokehold marks the world system as an atmospheric machine, neoliberalism as a thinning of breathable space, coloniality as a centuries-long strangling of the planetary south, digitality as a prosthesis that evacuates embodied presence. Climate collapse is the ultimate breath political truth, the air becoming uninhabitable, the sky becoming archive of past violence, weather becoming biography. To breathe is now a political action. To allow breath is justice. To control breath is domination. To restore breath is liberation. Atmosphere is the first commons. Breath is the first right. And the struggle for justice is the struggle to reclaim the air. The invisible breath. Phenomenology, medicine, language, care. Breath remains invisible not because it is small, but because it is everywhere. The background medium is taken for nothingness. The Life of Breath project shows that the modern medicine and its fixation on quantifiable metrics has forgotten the experiential truth of breathing, forgotten that breath has phenomenology, not just physiology. Chronic breathlessness is the invisible illness because its language has been stolen. The patient cannot describe it, the clinic cannot translate it, society cannot hear it. Where pain has metaphors, stab, throb, burn, breathlessness has only smiles of death, drowning, suffocating, fading. The recessive body becomes violently present when the breath fails. The unhidden body emerging, overpowering the narrative self, collapsing identity into the blunt imperative inhale. The invisibility of breath mirrors the invisibility of the vulnerable, the elderly, the poor, racialized populations, the chronically ill. Those who breathe is socially devalued. Care becomes a respiratory art. To soothe is to modulate atmosphere. To comfort is to widen another's air. To accompany is to lend one's breath to the rhythm of another life. Language must be made to speak breath. Metaphors must be invented. Phenomenology must be expanded. Medicine must become literary. Literature must become respiratory. And we will end on this. To heal breath, one must render it visible. To render it visible, one must learn to speak its hidden grammar. To speak its grammar is to remake the world. To heal breath, one must render it visible. To render it visible, one must learn to speak its hidden grammar. To speak its grammar is to remake the world. And that is the end of the Pneuma of Charlie Kirk. It's the Pneuma of Charlie Kirk, Miasma, Warfare, and the Sovereignty of Breath, written by me, Abe Zucca. You can check out my other videos. This is a continuation of Fractal Islam and the Unborn Levels of Scientology, along with the closed system, Stalin's closed system of Colossus. This is an 8-part series. Part 2 has just been finished. Please like and subscribe. Yeah, Logan, I'll give you a shout out. This channel's small, but it will get big. I'm better than anybody on here right now. Cutting edge research. Stay tuned.